Time now for Kristen's Kudos. We want to close out this week by wishing the happiest of birthdays to William Harvey Zeigler. Born in 1920, he turned 101 this week. Zeigler was recently featured in a story we did when he became the oldest Montgomery County resident to receive a COVID vaccination at an event. Zeigler is a native of Damascus, and he has lived a lifetime of public service, beginning with his stint in the Army during World War II and continuing when he joined the Montgomery County NAACP upon his honorable discharge, working as a youth director. He was instrumental in organizing a group that attended the 1963 March on Washington. Happy birthday to you, William Harvey Zeigler. That's amazing. All right, we'll see you.